Welcome to this English learning story. Today, you will hear the inspiring journey of Pope Francis, the man who chose humility over power and love over fear. He refused the golden throne. Instead, he took the bus home. That was the headline in newspapers around the world when Jorge Mario Bergoglio became Pope Francis. In a world where power often wears expensive shoes, this man, born in a modest Buenos Aires neighborhood, chose worn leather ones. His story isn't just about becoming the leader of 1.3 billion Catholics. It's about kindness, courage, and the strength to walk a different path. Let's begin. Jorge Mario Bergoglio was born on December 17, 1936, in a simple house in Buenos Aires, Argentina. His parents were Italian immigrants. His father, Mario, worked as a railway worker. His mother, Regina, stayed home to raise Jorge and his four siblings. From an early age, Jorge showed signs of deep thought and gentle curiosity. He loved reading, helping his mother cook, and listening to the stories of the poor and the old. While other children played soccer for hours, Jorge often sat quietly, thinking about life and God. But life wasn't always easy. When Jorge was a teenager, he became very sick. He had a severe lung infection and lost part of one lung. It was a frightening time, but it taught him something important, that life is fragile and every day is a gift. As a young man, Jorge studied chemistry and even worked in a lab. He liked science, but something in his heart kept pulling him in another direction. One day, while walking into a church for confession, he felt something powerful. It wasn't just a feeling, it was a calling. He believed God was asking him to serve not in a lab, but as a priest. He joined the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, a Catholic order known for education, service, and simplicity. Jesuit priests take special vows of poverty, obedience, and a deep commitment to helping others, especially the poor. Jorge studied philosophy and theology and taught literature in schools. His students remembered him not as a strict teacher, but as someone who listened, really listened. He didn't talk down to people. He lifted them up. In 1992, Jorge became a bishop, and later the Archbishop of Buenos Aires. But he never acted like a powerful man. He lived in a small apartment instead of the fancy bishop's palace. He cooked his own meals, took public buses, and walked through the poorest neighborhoods of the city. He often visited the slums, not with cameras, but quietly, offering prayer and support. People began to call him the Bishop of the Slums. He listened to the cries of the poor, the ignored, and the forgotten. He washed the feet of drug addicts and comforted mothers who had lost children to violence. He believed God lived among the people, especially the suffering. Still, he was not seeking attention. He lived simply and humbly, always pointing to God, not himself. In 2013, something historic happened. Pope Benedict XVI stepped down, something almost no pope had done in over 600 years. The world watched as Catholic cardinals from every country met in Rome to choose a new leader. Many didn't expect Jorge Bergoglio to be chosen. He was from Latin America, a region that had never seen a pope before. He was also a Jesuit, the first of his kind to be considered. He was older and not part of the Vatican's inner circle, but when the white smoke rose from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel, the name was announced: Jorge Mario Bergoglio. The world was stunned. But even more surprising was what he did next. Jorge chose the name Francis, after St. Francis of Assisi, a man known for his love of the poor, animals, and nature. No pope had ever chosen that name before. Why did he choose it? Because St. Francis was a man of peace and humility. That was the kind of pope Jorge wanted to be. He refused the usual symbols of power. Instead of the golden papal ring, he chose a simple silver one. He wore plain white clothes. He didn't want to live in the papal palace. He stayed in a modest guest house where he could eat with others and be close to people. Pope Francis quickly became known as the People's Pope. He didn't hide behind guards and gates. He hugged children. He visited prisons. He washed the feet of Muslim refugees. He kissed the cheeks of people with disabilities. He spoke about love, not judgment. He told priests to go out into the streets, to be with the people, and to avoid living in comfort while others suffer. He also made strong speeches against greed, corruption, and environmental destruction. He wrote an important letter to the world called Laudato Si', asking everyone to care for the earth like a sister, not like a machine to use and throw away. He asked the world to protect the poor, the migrants, and the lonely. He called on rich nations to open their hearts and their borders. He reminded the world that mercy is stronger than fear. Not everyone agreed with him. Some people in the church said he was moving too fast. Others said he was too soft. But Francis didn't stop. He believed in conversation, not shouting, in building bridges, not walls. When asked why he didn't judge people who were different, he replied with words that shocked many. "Who am I to judge?" It was not a statement of weakness. It was a sign of deep strength. Francis wasn't afraid of being misunderstood. He was afraid of a world without compassion. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the world saw something unforgettable. St. Peter's Square in the Vatican, usually filled with thousands of people, was empty. In the middle of the rain, one man stood alone, Pope Francis. He prayed for the world, asking for healing. He walked slowly, painfully, across the wet stones. It was a symbol of human suffering and hope. He reminded everyone that even when we feel alone, we are not abandoned. One day, Francis was seen stopping his car to hug a man whose body was covered in sores. Another time, he wrote a letter to a child who had lost his dog. He told him, "One day, we will see our animals again in the eternity of Christ." He gave homeless people haircuts. He invited the poor to eat with him in the Vatican. He opened showers in Rome for those without homes. These were not grand political gestures. They were acts of love, simple, quiet, powerful. Pope Francis changed the idea of what power looks like, not golden thrones, but service and listening. He once said, "A shepherd should smell like his sheep." He meant that leaders should be close to their people, not above them. He challenged not only the church, but all of us to think differently. What if success isn't about winning, but about lifting others up? What if holiness isn't about being perfect, but about being kind? As the years passed, Pope Francis continued to surprise the world. He met with leaders of other religions and said, "We are all brothers." He visited war zones and prayed for peace. He forgave those who criticized him. He reminded everyone that love is the greatest law. He never claimed to have all the answers, but he showed the world how to ask the right questions. Pope Francis is not just a religious figure. He is a man who walks the earth with a heart open to all. He is proof that one person, armed with kindness, courage, and humility, can touch millions of lives. From a quiet boy in Buenos Aires to the voice of mercy for the whole world, his story is a reminder that greatness doesn't come from power. It comes from love. So when you think of Pope Francis, don't think of crowns or cathedrals. Think of a man who took the bus home after becoming Pope. A man who chose to walk with the people, not ahead of them. A man who made the world pause, not with fear, but with hope. Even in his later years, Pope Francis remained active, writing letters, making video messages, and continuing to lead by example. Despite age and health issues, he never stopped working for peace and dignity. He traveled to conflict zones, urged young people to be the change the world needs, and encouraged kindness in a time of division. His voice, gentle but firm, echoed across nations, reminding us that compassion is not weakness but power. In early 2025, the world received heartbreaking news. Pope Francis had passed away peacefully at the age of 88. He spent his final days in quiet prayer, surrounded by close friends and caregivers. Tributes poured in from every corner of the globe, from presidents to refugees, from cardinals to children in the slums he once walked. His death marked the end of an era, but his legacy of humility, mercy, and love will continue to inspire generations. He didn't just change the church, he changed hearts.